What's up, guys? It's McNulty here. I hope you're all well. Today, we are going to be doing a little bit of a content video, mainly focusing on the challenge events and how to approach them. I'm not, and I want to say it up front, I'm not one of the best at challenge events, but there are definitely a few little tips and little tricks and things that can help a lot with your play and help you to improve your play, which I think all too few people are aware of. And I've not seen a lot of content available online for this sort of thing. So forgive me if I'm going over things that you've heard a million times before and you think you already know this. If that's the case, absolutely fine. Go ahead and chop and change. But I think that for a lot of people, these sort of tips and things are going to help you to enjoy these challenge events a lot more. So hopefully you guys find this useful. So this is not going to be specific to the Sanctuary of Gargoyles. It's just a general sort of overview of how to play in these challenge events. So the first thing I would recommend when you start out a challenge event, or you want to try and improve your challenge event scores, is go ahead and have a look at the leaderboard, because the leaderboard is going to tell you who is sort of smashing it. So these are the kind of people that you want to have a look at. And the main thing you want to start by having a look at is their team compositions. And in my opinion, there are a couple of key heroes that you absolutely need to be able to compete in any way in these challenge events. So let's just go ahead and have a look at top spot. So let's look at the common thread. First of all, we can see Costume Gunner. If we go to second spot, again, Costume Gunner. And I can pretty much guarantee you, in fact, I can guarantee you anyone we look at is going to have Costume Gunner somewhere on their team, because he is an essential hero to be able to get good scores in the rare challenge events. Some people use him for other stages, the epic and the legendary as well, but I'm just going to focus on him as an absolute necessity for rare. We're not going to be going for these top 100 scores. I think that those are just maybe a bit out of reach, but who knows? I mean, you could do. These heroes are all rare. So why is Costume Gunner such a great hero for these challenge events? So if you don't know, basically what Costume Gunner does is that his special makes it so that all enemies share receive damage for 5 turns, and all enemies get minus 44 defense for 5 turns as well. So why is the shared damage so important? Now, for me, the biggest thing about shared damage is that it means that whatever tiles are going into any enemy that you send down the board, that is going to apply to all enemies, and that is so important when you're trying to take out the enemies as quickly as possible. The other thing about shared damage, especially when it comes to events, is that, or challenges, sorry, is that you get those chests that appear on the board. Now, I'm not sure how long it took me to figure this out, but it definitely took a while until I learned that you can put the shared damage onto the chest as well. And it doesn't matter whether you hit an enemy on either side, the damage applies to the chest as well, even if that chest is locked. So just to repeat that, the chest doesn't take damage until it opens normally. If you put shared damage on it, it does take damage even when it's closed. So if you want a really big score, you want a level with maybe 1 or 2 chests on if you're lucky, and making sure that you've got the shared damage running at all times is absolutely essential. So Gunner is an essential hero, I would say. Now, the second hero that I would say is essential for these rare challenge events is Nordri. So Nordri is a season 3 hero. He's also quite readily available, but the reason he's so important is that he gives minus 54 defense against ice for 4 turns. So we've got the shared damage, we've got defense down with Costume Gunner, and we've got the elemental defense down with Nordri as well. Now, a lot of people would say that Ulma is essential. I mean, the costume Ulma, I would say, is probably better because he gives the increased attack as well. So he's going to deal damage to all enemies and increase the attack of all allies as well. There are other heroes that you can get away with, but costume Ulma is probably, I would say, probably the best. So I'm going to say that he's the third. Maybe not so essential for you just to do well. If you were gonna just level 2 heroes, I'd say Costume Gunner and Nordri would be the absolute essentials. And then the not as essential, but if you do want to go for the big time, then I would definitely level them up, would be Ulma and Carol. So the reason Carol's so good is he just deals a truckload of damage, 240% to the target and minor to nearby. There are a couple of other heroes that you can use in place of him, just going with the blue theme, and I think it shouldn't be too hard to find one, although I know that there are a lot of reds sneaking into the top at the moment. Is anyone using him anymore? Chick Jr. Chick Jr. is a pretty good option. 180 damage to all enemies. And I might have to go into my own roster to find him, although mine isn't leveled. Here he is. So Yao is another good option because he deals 215 damage to the target and nearby. So him and Carol would just be the damage dealers. Ulma is going to be an attack increaser, and then, like I said, the two essentials, Costume Gunner and Nordri. Okay, this little chap has snuck his way in as well. And why is Buster there? Well, busted up. It's because he gives the damage increase. So all damage the target and nearby receive is increased by 24% and a further 2% per fire shield on the board, up to 40% received damage. So he is like a mini Franz. So he does fit that role perfectly, even though he is in a different color. Now, I know there's a lot of teams with red heroes, but if I was going to sort of recommend a team composition, this would probably be it, with him as the alternate color. So I think this is a really good composition if you want to compete without too much difficulty. A team like this, or potentially Carol in place of Yao. So the next thing to bear in mind is what you're going to be taking into battle. So you need to take some battle items if you're going to expect your team to do well. I'm just going to go into, let's do a level that I've already completed in rare. So as you can see here, my team is not, as beefy as some of the others, and there are a few heroes that I've neglected just purely because I'm more focused on quite a few five-star projects at the moment, but I'll definitely get round to the 3 stars. But you can see that we've got Costume Gunner in here, and we've got Nordri in there as well. So those are our 2 essentials. I don't mind using Trevor as well, because I find that on top of Gunner's defense down, Trevor's damage does really pack a punch as well. Valen can kind of negate the defense down, but I need that additional power in blue, just because I don't have any other blue 3 stars fully leveled. And I've got loads of projects to work on. I mean, I've got Yao there, I've got Carol there, so I can quite easily take my own advice and level some of these heroes, and then Buster will be coming up as well. So looking forward to having a pretty potent rare team there. I've noticed with the red team, some people are using Phoenicus. Phoenicus is great. He boosts the attack and boosts the mana generation as well. So he's pretty good in place of maybe Costume Alma for the attack boost if you're going to run a red team. But then bear in mind, you're still going to need Costume Gunner for that sheer damage. So let's go back to what we were talking about, battle items. Now, this setup that I've got here is pretty much the setup that I go into any battle with. Pretty basic, to be fair. It's just a medium mana potion, a minor mana potion, an axe attack, and arrow attacks. So the way we're going to do it is I just want to make sure that I've got Gunner running all the time. I want to then fire off Nordri potentially only on the final wave, but you don't need them. You don't need Nordri going all the time, especially for the earlier levels. You'll probably be able to just get away with it. So yeah, I would say that any composition where you've got Gunner and Nordri is definitely going to increase your scores. We'll just go ahead and do like a little bit of a practice run just so that I can show you more or less how this is going to work in practice. So the other thing you can do is you can reset boards if you get a crappy board. So I'm not going to do that because I just don't fancy going back and forth. So we'll just power up Gunner straight away. There you can see the shared damage is on. So 3 blue tiles is enough to kill everybody there. We can power up Gunner again. Oh, do the shared damage, and now we've got another option in purple, so not quite enough to kill everybody off. The shared damage is still running. Right, here we go. And then for the boss wave, we want to pump up Costume Gunner. If you don't have any tiles, you can kind of cheat with some of these because some of them are not quite as powerful. So often with the rare enemies, except for this annoying stone skin, you can get away with firing axe and bomb attacks, which I'm not going to get away with at the moment because obviously it is a video, and when you're recording live, nothing ever goes according to plan. So there we go. Now that took like a minute 14, which is a lot longer than what I'll need, and there was no improvement on my initial score, but I hope that that gives you a little bit of an idea of how much the shared damage can help going into these attacks, and how it helps just to keep to use the mana potions to keep those heroes, those key heroes, charged for your battles. So hopefully you found that helpful. I will say, you know, the epic is quite similar, so there are a couple of key heroes in the epic as well, and I don't want to bore you to death, and I don't want to make this video too long, but the key heroes I would say for the epic would be Wilbur and Guardian Falcon. Obviously we can see little Busters snuck in there as well. C. Colin, Costume Colin, is also a great hero to use. He's just got such a huge attack stat that he really can pack a punch. So yeah, I think that regular Wilbur does exactly the same thing as Costume Gunner, just for 1 turn less, and he gives increased defense for the team as well. So an absolutely essential hero for you to level up if you want to do well at the epic. And I think you'll also find him quite a lot in the legendary levels as well. I think we've got this guy who's taken over where he does the shared damage, and he's at the 5-star level, but probably a much harder hero to obtain. So Wilbur is a good option. And then Guardian Falcon with the elemental defense down for 4 turns. And then we have Sir Lancelot, who gives the attack up. You would also be able to use Bold Tusk. I would use Bold Tusk for the attack up just because I have Lancelot, but he's not leveled yet. So my team for this we'll be looking at, let's just have a little look here. Let's take this stage. Oh, that was a trial team. I would use Bold Tusk for the attack up, Wilbur, Guardian Falcon. I'll pop Kilila in there because I don't have Lancelot leveled. So it would either be, if I do ever get around to leveling Lancelot, he's somewhere down there. Yeah, there he is. So that would be probably the old school version of this. And then, well, the new school version would be to pop little Buster in over there, or somewhere in the middle. So yeah, we're going to go with how I'm using it at the moment because that is the best red squad that I've got. But again, just to stress the importance of this, it's important that you have these two heroes, Wilbur and Guardian Falcon. Those are the ones you want to look out for. See, Colin is also great, and I mean, obviously, if you want to build up a full team, then you want all of those heroes I've mentioned, but the two essentials will be the shared damage defense down and elemental defense down in red. You need the battle items, so again, just a normal mana potion and minor mana potion will do, an axe attack and a bomb attack for a little bit of extra damage. So we'll go ahead and have a look at how we can do with this team. Right, so we don't have a lot of red tiles here, so we could sort of skip this one. Let's just do that. So I just want to give you an example of what you can do if you're happy to waste a few flags. So we can flee, we can go back in again, click fight, and see if we have a bit of a better board. Not really. Anyway, let's just go for it. So again, we want our elemental defense going straight away. Be pretty nice to have some red tiles though. That's the only issue with this. So man, let's see if we can get some red tiles going. Right, that'll do. Okay. That's more like it. Okay, so we're on stone skin. I'm not sure how effective this stone skin thing is. I mean, sometimes you can just sort of barrel your way through it. Okay, stone skin up. Okay, they took absolutely no damage, but we have a nice little cascade, so that'll do. Let's get everything going. Elemental defense down. Throw some red tiles in. Set him off and a couple of bomb attacks. Oh man. Anyways, you get the idea. That pretty much did the trick. Get that stone skin out the way. Oh man, that's annoying. Right. That could have been about a 40-second match, but turned into a minute because of my stupid talking. So yeah, you can see how much that score improved. So yeah, hopefully that is useful to you guys. I'm not going to go over Legendary because Legendary is a whole other thing, a whole other topic. But that is just the basics of what I've sort of figured out in terms of how you can improve your challenge event scores. At least in the rare and epic category without spending a truckload of money trying to get great heroes. You probably already got most of these heroes in your roster. So yeah, if you found that video useful, please do drop us a like and a subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you all again in the next video. Cheers for now.